Welcome to a special International Women's Day episode of Leadership for Equality, the podcast by the Associated Country Women of the World.
This podcast was developed in partnership with UNESCO and gives us a chance to explore the personal and professional experiences of women around the world and to discuss the opportunities, challenges, obstacles and successes on their journeys.
We ask our guests about their stories and ideas as we seek to inspire more women to embrace leadership and to be embraced as leaders.
Hi, we're your hosts. I'm Nick Newland-Ešner.
And I am Nicoletta Idili. This is a special one-off episode released today in celebration of International Women's Day 2026. This marks 2 years since the first episode of Leadership for Equality was released, and today we're celebrating 2026 as the International Year of the Woman Farmer. We have 3 special guests for you today from South Africa, Scotland, and Uganda. Firstly, we will hand over to ACWW's Engagement Officer, Casey Daudelin, who will tell us all about the International Year of Woman Farmer. Casey, welcome to the Leadership for Equality podcast.
Thanks so much, Nicoletta. The International Year of the Woman Farmer recognizes and celebrates the critical contributions women make to global food systems and agriculture. It is a global opportunity to raise awareness, amplify women's voices, and advance meaningful action that supports women farmers at every level. Women play a vital role in food security, sustainable agriculture, and rural economies. From growing and processing food to managing households and supporting their communities, their work underpins resilient food systems and sustains livelihoods across generations. Yet despite these contributions, women farmers often face significant barriers. Many have limited access to land, education, financing, and decision-making spaces. Their work is frequently under-recognized, even as they carry a disproportionate share of both agricultural labor and caregiving responsibilities. When we speak of women farmers, we use the term inclusively. It refers to women working across agri-food systems in diverse roles and at every stage of the value chain. Farmers, producers, fishers, pastoralists, processors, traders, agricultural scientists, rural entrepreneurs, and many more. It includes women in formal and informal work, regardless of land ownership or employment status. It reflects women in all their diversity, young and older women, Indigenous women, women from local communities, women with disabilities, and refugee and displaced women. This definition recognizes the essential roles women play not only in production, but also in leadership, enterprise, care, and domestic work, strengthening food security, improving nutrition, and supporting economic prosperity for families and communities. ACWW plays an active role in advancing the goals of this international year by amplifying the voices and experiences of women farmers worldwide. Through storytelling, partnerships, and targeted projects, ACWW works to increase visibility, strengthen recognition, and ensure that action reflects the everyday realities of women in agriculture. A key part of this effort is the creation of a story bank, a growing collection of voices from across the ACWW membership. These personal stories highlight the lived experiences of women farmers from around the world. Through written, visual, and video storytelling, the story bank raises awareness, informs advocacy, and showcases the vital role women play in farming, food systems, and rural communities. Visibility and storytelling are at the heart of this campaign. For too long, the work of women farmers has been essential yet under-recognized. So stories move us beyond statistics. They bring attention to the skills, leadership, resilience, and daily realities that shape agriculture worldwide. When women farmers are seen and heard, their contributions are more likely to be valued in policy, practice, and community decision-making. So visibility is a very crucial step toward equity and lasting change. The stories we have received so far from members reflect remarkable diversity from different landscapes, farming systems, and cultural contexts. Yet across continents, common challenges emerge. Many women have spoken about the growing impacts of climate change, limited access to financing and resources, and the ongoing struggle for recognition. At the same time, these stories are filled with determination and innovation. Women are describing adapting to unpredictable weather, diversifying crops and income streams, strengthening community networks, and developing creative solutions to sustain their farms and families. Their voices highlight both the global nature of these challenges and the resilience that defines women in agriculture. These stories also reveal the uniquely multifaceted roles women hold. Their work extends far beyond the land itself. In addition to planting and managing livestock, many balance caregiving, household management, community leadership, and the financial and administrative responsibilities of running a farm. Women farmers are producers, entrepreneurs, bookkeepers, educators, caregivers, and advocates, often all at once. Their work does not begin and end in the field. It continues at kitchen tables, in community meetings, in markets, and in the everyday acts of care that sustain families and communities. So as we mark the International Year of the Woman Farmer, let's move beyond acknowledgement and toward action. We must commit to listening to women farmers not only during this year, but every year, and ensure their voices inform policy, shape programs, and influence decisions at every level. It is crucial that we recognize not only what they grow in the fields, but what they sustain in families, communities, and economies. So I invite listeners to engage with the stories being shared and the information in this podcast episode, to amplify them, to champion them, and to ask what more can be done in your own spheres of influence. Whether through advocacy, partnership, investment, or simply raising awareness, each of us has a role to play. Because when women farmers are seen, heard, and supported, food systems become stronger, communities become more resilient, and futures become more secure.
Thanks so much, Casey. It's great to hear about the year and some of the things that are planned. We now welcome ACWW's World President, Magdie to Kock, who joins us to tell us why the International Year specifically matters to the associated countrywomen of the world. Magdie, welcome back to the podcast, and thank you for joining us again. Let's start with why ACWW is committed to the success of the International Year of the Woman Farmer.
Thank you, and I am pleased to participate in this podcast. Being a farmer's wife myself and living in the rural part of South Africa. Well, the United Nations has declared 2026 as the International Year of the Woman Farmer and designated the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN as the lead agency for ensuring its success. ACWW has been committed to rural women, including farmers and farming families globally, since we were founded in 1929. We have also maintained consultative status with the FAO since 1947, so we are thrilled to be working in close partnership with the FAO this year on a program to support rural women farmers.
Can you tell us a bit more about how the partnership with FAO benefits ACWW members?
Yes, as we speak, we are developing a project in the Western Highlands region of Papua New Guinea, which will see long-term ACWW member society, Voice for Change, deliver capacity building and advocacy training for 30 women farmers. This project is funded by FAO as part of their International Year of the Woman Farmer program, and will also include supporting these rural women in building their confidence when speaking to those in positions of power in their communities. And this will give great opportunities for these women to embrace leadership and for their peers to recognize the crucial roles they play in their communities. ACWW is using its expertise and experience to support our members and building on our long-term partnerships and collaborations to ensure we are having as much impact as possible.
Thank you for joining us again, Magdie, and we look forward to sharing future updates with our membership. We now welcome Anne Kerr, the former National President of the Scottish Women's Institutes and a farmer in Scotland. Anne, welcome to Leadership for Equality. As a board member of the Scottish Women's Institute and a working farmer, what does the International Year of the Woman Farmer mean to you personally?
It's great that the United Nations are acknowledging the very important part that women play in agriculture around the world. As an SWI board member, I realise that there is a reduction in the percentage of our members who are actually involved in agricultural enterprises. But those who are give a huge amount of time and effort to these businesses and are also part of the local community and run a lot of events for them. So it is great to be acknowledged in such an important year.
So, Anne, from your perspective on the ground, what are the biggest barriers women farmers in Scotland still face today?
Some of the barriers are faced by all farmers and aren't particular to women. Governments in Europe subsidise food production, but they don't have a long-term strategy on this. There's an increasing measure, a demand for green measures to accompany any payments, but there's little information in advance as to what these entail. So it leaves a lot of uncertainty. Women are usually at the forefront of helping to implement the new strategies because they are the ones that quite often end up with the paperwork because men on farms can be out doing the hands-on work most of the time. There is also problems with poor digital connectivity, but we're requested to complete forms and keep our records online. So that is a huge problem in rural areas, particularly at the moment.
Obviously, in the last few years, the political situation around European subsidy and indeed investment in digital infrastructure is supposed to have changed in the UK. And we know that, like many governments around the world and many rural realities, the impact of those changes actually reaching communities can take a lot longer.
Yeah.
What practical steps would you like to see policy makers take this year to create lasting change for women in farming?
I would say that they need to implement the policies that have been suggested in the past, which include, as you say, creating better digital connectivity and having a longer-term policy on agriculture. By its nature, farming methods cannot be changed overnight. I live in a dairy farm, and a calf born today will not be producing milk for 2 to 3 years. So we can't change the milk supply overnight. And yet there are requests that you cut your supply by next month. Governments also need to be aware of the economic impacts of farming. Income to farms is spent locally on suppliers and also the employment opportunities that are created. We have, at the moment, 2 people helping us, both women, which women are so much better at animal husbandry than some men. I won't say all men, some men. There are several similar problems with any animal production system. It cannot be changed overnight. Also, if you have planted crops in the ground in the autumn and there's a request for something different come the springtime, you can't change it. It takes time for changes to work through agriculture, and people in government are not always aware of this, I feel.
For young women considering a future in agriculture, what message or advice would you want them to hear?
I would say to look at the alternatives. It's a wonderful career, very worthwhile, very rewarding. You're in beautiful surroundings, quite often with little or no commute to work. I would advise them to go for it and enjoy it. I would also advise them to join an organisation of women in agriculture of some sort. Most countries have at least one of these, and it gives you people to connect with. It gives you advice when you need it. And it's great to share your problems. A problem shared is a problem halved. And unless you can speak to someone who knows the problems you are going through, it can be very difficult. But it is a wonderful career.
Thank you, Anne, for joining us today and for sharing your experience and insights with our listeners. We now turn to our final guest, Winnie Tushabe. This interview was recorded live during ACWW's monitoring visit to Nakivale refugee settlement in southwest Uganda.
My name is Winnie Tushabe. I'm the co-founder of Youth Initiative for Community Empowerment. We are in Nakivale refugee settlement, working with ACWW.
Can you give us what your day looks like from when you wake up to when you go to bed? What does a day in the life of Winnie look like?
This is my day. I wake up in the morning because I'm working in the garden. So 6 a.m. I'm out to go and train people on regenerative farming. What do I mean with the regenerative farming is going back to the roots of farming, how our grandparents used to do farming and they yield without investing much. So that is my role in the training. When I go in the field, I meet a group of women that are ready to learn about how they can grow vegetables, how they can make organic pesticides, how they can work with small money, all with ideas, and they can change their lives. When we reach in the field, we start with asking questions of what someone wants to learn, of what someone has learned, a new idea, and we share our experience because we are working with people with different backgrounds and people with different experience in the community. Number one, we can share about how, for those that are mature than us, we ask them how they used to do it. For example, if we ask someone from Rwanda, tell us how they used to do it in Rwanda and how they are doing it in Kenya, in Burundi. We have those that are from Somali. So all those we share the experience, and then we go on with implementing. We can, for example, that day we are teaching about the organic pesticide. We start with collecting the pesticides. We start with collecting the material from our gardens. We bring together. We identify roles, who is pounding, who is teaching, and who is making. We work, we train them, and after the training, it's when we will stop. In the afternoon, it's when we go for monitoring to see, for example, if we learn in the morning, in the afternoon, we are monitoring for those that have gone to collect, and in the evening, we can pass by to see who are those that have started implementing. On our way to in monitoring, we also look at what they have done, where they are missing out, where they didn't learn as we taught, so that we can help them to make the right solution or the right process, and they get what to put in the gardens. What comes apart from the work, then I have a family. I also attend to my family. I have rarely do I have lunch. I have 2 meals in a day, not because I don't have food, but because I have to attend to other people. They are calling for help, and we don't have that much time to come back for lunch. So when I have my breakfast in the morning, I miss out lunch because of work and duties that are calling, but then I have supper in the night. I also sometimes have time to rest. I go to church because I'm a Christian, and I also love visiting friends, chatting, and sharing experience. Every time I meet someone and I'm sharing and I'm helping a friend, or I'm giving my personal background and my life, gives me happiness, because every time I share my experience, and the reason as to why I joined regenerative farming, it gives me hope that some people always appreciate. They also think that I've done something good. Whenever I'm appreciated, it gives me energy to wake up tomorrow and reach more people.
What led you to your interest in women's rights?
What led me is because I grew up in a single mothered home, and I saw how my mom used to sometimes face challenges. And I'm also a girl who sometimes felt like I'm not hard enough. There was a time, because I'm short, and I was undermined. So I know that didn't stop that day, because at least I was blessed and I can speak for the rest. So I want to empower others to also join the struggle, because women should be heard. We have to work. We are the backbones of the families. So in that process, we want to empower them to come out and speak. In my family, and sorry, not my family, but in my culture, women are supposed to be behind the kitchen, behind there to do the farming, but then you're not given the opportunity to come on the table when we are harvesting. In such a scenario, I feel like that is not good for all women. We should be treated equally. We also have the same education. We have the same brains. We can also reason out. So in such a scenario, because my mother was tormented, and somewhere, somehow, I feel maybe she wasn't given the opportunity to share what she had at heart, made her make a mistake somewhere. So I want to give a platform for everyone to also share the experience.
What made you say focus the core aims of this project around permaculture compared to conventional farming or more commonly found farming?
What is forcing us as Youth Initiative for Community Empowerment to consider regenerative farming? And number one is we are working with vulnerable groups, and expensive, and agriculture in Uganda is becoming very expensive for everyone. So the vulnerable women, people at the grassroots, do not have all that money to do farming. Yet, we have to eat. If you're buying seeds, the improved seeds are expensive, but they can yield for one season. The next season, you have to buy others. But if we are collecting the seeds from the local seeds, we are empowering, we are giving these people morale that they can be replanted and still yield. Another thing, when we look at regenerative farming, the nutrition part of it, even if I spray in the morning with the organic pesticides, in the afternoon I can harvest and eat, because it is not harmful. But with chemicals, we don't know the lifespan of the chemicals they spray on our vegetables and on the crops. So sometimes I sometimes have even this in mind, that maybe these diseases that are coming, like the cancer that we are having, that are on rampancy in the communities, maybe they might have come because of the chemicals we are eating unknowingly, because we just wash the tomato outside and we don't know what it has consumed from the inside.
What are the most prevalent issues that you see women in this community facing?
The challenges they are facing in the community, number one, sometimes they are not heard. So we need to empower them more and more. They say a word to a wise is enough, but if it comes to empowerment of women, we need to make it a song, so that we can come out of our shyness. We can come out of our the hidden baskets where we are. Sometimes we have ideas, brilliant ideas, we want to bring on table, but because we are limited by culture, sometimes we are left out.
So how does the access to agriculture training create a solution to some of those problems?
It brings a solution in a way that sometimes if you don't have money, you cannot have a say in the community. If you can't put food on the table, the husband will not recognize you and will not give you a platform to speak. But if I have vegetables in the garden, I grow the vegetables, I bring on table, we can sell the surplus and earn a living, then I'm heard. So agriculture is the core factor for me to being recognized as a valuable person in the community and in the family.
Can you tell us a little bit about receiving a recommendation from the government of Uganda as a result of the successful implementation of the project and securing $15,000 in funding to continue with the activities?
On that, it was a good opportunity for us once we were recognized. I know I can say the first thing that maybe brought attention is because we had a demonstration garden at the police where everyone's attention is caught. So every time they could come, they were asking of who are those people that are implementing. Because at first the government officials could see it was the yard, and coming after some weeks, they are seeing it is becoming a garden. That caught their attention and they funded us. So it was an alarming, and it was like boosting us and calling us to wake up from the deep sleep we had entered in, to wake up and work more and more. And in such a scenario, we are also working hard not to stop and to look at the sustainability. In the sustainability, that's why we are telling people every day that they should use organically made things, so that even when we don't have funds, even when we cannot reach to them, or even when wind has disappeared from the community, the trek has not to stop.
And finally, if you had one message for ACWW members, for governments, for the UN, for people in the world, what would your message be?
The message, I have different messages, and to ACWW, number one, we appreciate the hand sent to us. It has really moved us a mile, not only as an organization, but as the community, especially as women, because our women have benefited. The story of a lady who got 2 chickens and they laid eggs. She changed the variety, and this she sold some of the chicks, bought others. When 2 days back, when I was interviewing her, she said she's now having 80 chickens that are laying eggs every day. She's able to collect 8 eggs in a day. After a week, if you're making the simple calculations, she told me in a week she can save 15,000 Uganda shillings. So it is like a dream coming true of helping. If that person can collect for 2 months, they can start a small income generating activity. They can buy books for the community. They can, for the children, scholastic materials, and even have an income, that daily income that is at home. Apart from that, you have helped these people. They are having different meals now. Today you're having meals from sukuma, tomorrow you're having meals with the spinach, and we are also planting beetroot that we are looking at even adding value, because it is something that we use for having blood in our bodies. It is crucial to every one of us. So thank you for that. You have really helped and you have enlightened us. It's because of the fund you gave us that we were also recognized by the government. To the government, not only of Uganda, but whoever will see this video, please and please train the community. Fund organizations all people that are promoting regenerative farming, not in a bad faith. I'm not decampaigning those that are selling chemicals, but we are looking at sustainability. We have to have things that are good for our health, and they can be done by low-income earners. In Uganda, farming is very expensive. Seeds have to be bought. The land is being tampered with. They have tilled the soils several times, so we need to put in chemicals season by season. But if you go back to the roots and we start using organic pesticides, we use our cow dung, we use the composite that we have in our gardens, this will really move us ahead. Those can come, but after we have what to eat, it's when we can think of the commercial. We have to have food at our table from the grassroots. It's when we can climb up and do the commercial. Thank you.
Thank you, Winnie, for joining us and for all your efforts supporting regenerative and sustainable agriculture. This work you've told us about, it is really crucial, and we certainly inspire other women. Thanks again for sharing.
This special International Women's Day episode of Leadership for Equality was recorded at various locations globally and online. It was developed by Garance Sarlat and Nick Newland-Ešner for UNESCO and ACWW.
This episode was co-hosted and produced by Nick Newland-Ešner and Nicoletta Idili. It was edited by Nick Newland-Ešner.
Thank you, and see you soon.